I'm going to go to Chlöe Swarbrick from the Greens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Morena. I'm going to ask you one of your favourite types of questions, which is to define something for me. And you may recall this in the debate and discussion around sustainable house prices, but I do think that it's a really useful starting point to then work backwards from. There's obviously a lot of allusion in the report around the notion of recovery. So I'm just wondering if you could define for us the sense of criteria, the things that you are looking for, which would define what recovery looks like as far as the RBNZ is concerned.
Are you talking about economic recovery? Economic
recovery, yes.
I think we use it in a reasonably plain fashion in the sense of GDP growth.
Okay, thank you. If you're saying that recovery looks like GDP going back up, are you guys tracking, based on all of the current variables that you're aware of, whether that recovery that you are saying that we're looking out for, is that going to be relatively equally felt across the economy, or is it going to be unequal, i.e. are those lower socioeconomic households going to be paying the cost for this recovery as they were also paying the cost for higher interest rates?
Yeah, I would say that we, what we focus on is our mandate, which is the inflation target, and how can we best contribute to the economy and society, and that's low and stable inflation to give households and businesses confidence to sort of get on with their lives. We acknowledge at the moment that there are parts of society who haven't felt like there's been low and stable inflation at the moment. The price of those essentials.
I'm not blaming you guys for this. I'm just trying to say, of the variables that you are tracking and of the economic recovery that you are forecasting, is it going to be relatively equally felt across? I'm not saying that you have responsibility for this. I'm just asking in what you're tracking.
Do you want to have a go?
Because we don't have a big impact on inequality, but we need to understand it because it affects how monetary policy transmits through the economy. For example, if lower income people get a tax cut, for example, it's more likely to be spent rather than saved. So that affects, how well that's tax policy transmits through the economy. So we keep an eye on it, but we don't track it. In terms of whether this growth is going to push inequality in one way or the other, the fact that sort of house prices, I think house prices have been a source of increased wealth inequality in New Zealand over the decades, and the fact that we're not seeing much of that happen, or we're not projecting much of that to happen over the coming quarters when we are getting growth, reasonable growth by the end of this year. That's sort of a partial answer on the wealth side. I've got less to say on the income.
Okay, thank you very much.